But, okay, let's get into this Myles Brennan.
Myles Brennan was training on his own property.
In
Mississippi. And he was on Hey Fightin' Podcast with Cody Worsham, where he sat down and he talked about a ton of stuff, including a long soundbite here that runs over 60 seconds on him talking about his weight, hovering around 220 pounds and maintaining that weight.
Currently I weigh 220, which is where I want to be, and I feel very confident at my weight now. I came in I was probably 175 when I got here freshman year. And
you're what, 6'5"? 6'4"?
Like 6'4",
okay.
Yeah. And so I literally looked just like a green bean, and that's what everybody would call me. And the SEC came out and called me the Slim Reaper, It's just like, it was very difficult from then to now. My body, I guess, is just not made to have a wide frame, you know, and I ate more food than anybody could imagine. And the strength staff was on me every single day since I got here. And I was in here at 6 o'clock, eating in front of the strength coaches, drinking, protein shakes in front of them at 6 o'clock. And I have a very high metabolism. So, I wore one of the Apple Watches one day, and with workouts and practice and everything in between, I'm burning around 6,000 calories, 7,000 calories a day.
That's crazy.
Which is insane. So if I'm eating 5,000 calories, I'm in the negatives.
Yep.
So I'm having to literally go beyond measures to just get some sort of nutrients in my body to use. But hopefully I've kept to where I'm at. I've been around the 218 to 221 range since quarantine. So that makes me feel good that I can that's been at least 3.5 months that I've actually been able to keep the weight on.
I got one for you, and I want you to think about this before you answer it, because I got more sound to play on Brennan. So I'm going to come back to you on Brennan's weight, but I want one from you here.
Yeah.
If you are allowed to make Brennan's menu, Fat Boy T-Bob is
for
allowed
6,000
to
calories?
make Myles Brennan's menu for 6,000 plus calories per day.
Am I worried
he's got to hold?
Am I worried about making it nutritional?
Fat Boy T-Bob.
Okay.
Fat Boy T-Bob. And I'll open this up to the listeners. Jump inside YouTube, jump inside the huddle. If you're creating the menu for a 6,000 calorie plus per day intake, what's it consist of? Here's a funny story from Brennan talking about his food.
Funny, there was one time where I came in and I ate it was 4 breakfast sandwiches and drank 4 core powers. And I'm trying to get to class. And
dude, that's 2,500 calories right there.
I'm man, I don't feel good. So I ran to the bathroom. I threw it all up. So I didn't tell anybody because I would have had to restart.
Yeah, so it seems like it was a brutal road up to this point. Now, I do agree with how Cody Worsham starts this podcast, where he basically says asking people about their weight like this is pretty awkward. And living through it is probably pretty weird, as everybody's constantly asking you how much you weigh. I think we can finally put that thing to rest. He is 220. Anything above 210 is golden. He will remain there. I don't think this is something we need to talk about. And look, I get that it's what Coach Joe and all these other people constantly brought up when it comes to Brennan, and it will absolutely help him, like durability and other facets of the game. But when it comes to playing quarterback, weight is on the bottom of the totem pole in terms of things that actually matter. All that matters if you want to be a successful quarterback are accuracy and decision-making. If you have a plus arm like Brennan does, that's a huge advantage. But still, it's ultimately not going to come down to weight or anything else. It's just going to be, do you know where to go with the ball, and can you put it in those tight windows?
Can I ask you the question inside the huddle?
Yes.
On live radio?
I've
look
not,
at it.
I've not
look
seen
at
it.
it and ask you, and let me ask you if I can after this one. Why did Brennan stay at LSU?
I came here for a reason, and I stay true to my word, and I understand why people do transfer, and I'm not against it any means, because these players have to do what's best for them and their families. But I knew being here would be best for me, especially with this coaching staff and the surrounding staff that's here at LSU. And, we brought in Joe, and, if I would have left, I would have lost these 2 years of learning behind, one of the greatest football, quarterback in college football. And the things that I just took away from him alone have made me such a better player, much less, just being around this team and playing the games that we've played in has just helped me a lot.
T-Bob danced back and forth on whether or not I should ask him the question inside a huddle. He landed on no. So if you want to know, get inside the huddle and he'll answer it there. On following Burrow, this is a big one. This is a legend. A lot of people are wondering how he thinks on following the greatest player in LSU football history. Here's what Myles Brennan thinks about it.
When I get asked those questions, I try and tell myself, like he's gone, and he's no longer here, and he's no longer going to be playing for LSU, and like it's time for me to step into that role. And I can talk about what he did, but talking about last year's team and what we did last year is not going to, and talking about Joe is not going to help us in the future.
Yeah.
It's not going to do any good for us reflecting on what we did last year. But yeah, I mean, it is time to. Joe's going to get all the credit that he deserves, in interviews and things like that. But at the same time, it's my time, and I fully understand that. And, I'm going to do, everything in my power to make, take full advantage of that.
Let's go. That's a good answer.
It's a great answer. And it seems like someone who has their head screwed on pretty well for knowing like what's going to be coming his way, because you're absolutely right. He's going to have to deal with Joe Burrow questions constantly, which is a bit frustrating when, as a player, you're trying to live in the moment. Like, your focus is firmly on what happens next in the future. And like he said, Joe's going to have no impact on the future, but that's just the nature of the beast. He gets it. He answered it well.
I kind of think it's going to be a weight thing, especially from a local standpoint.
Yeah.
From a national standpoint, he'll have to deal with it throughout the regular season. But I think locally, it'll be like a weight issue where, like you just said, it's been talked about. You understand it. He weighs 220. He's going to hover around that all season long.
That's fair.
You can't really ask him about it. I mean, at some point, he's going to answer the Burrow questions just by his play. And then one time you're going to get into a post-game comment, you're going to ask him something, and he's going to give you the same answer that he gave you 2 weeks before, and you're going to say, you know what? This is a dead issue.
Yeah.
Right? All right, here he is talking about his development.
Real quick, because now it feels weird, like the whole, like, I want to tell you something I can't tell you. No, he doesn't date my sister. He's dating one of my cousins.
Okay, so you
there
dance
you go.
back to the yes.
Yeah,
All right,
dance
there you
back to
go. I
this.
could have asked you that. That would have been easy.
Just,
2 minutes ago.
I know. I apologize.
All right, here he is talking about his development.
I feel like personally, just in terms of being on the field, from freshman year to sophomore year to this past year, just being more comfortable, and just being confident and just telling myself, like, I mean, this is just a game. I mean, in terms of, like, I've been doing this my whole life. It's the same game I've been playing when I was 6, 7 years old, you know. But, this past year I felt like I was just a lot more comfortable in the pocket. I don't feel like I was as antsy, and I learned, I mean, that was, I really feel like that was just with maturity and just understanding the game and, just feeling comfortable being back there.
One more from Burrow. Here he is talking about his relationship with the offensive coordinator. One more from my bad.
And there it goes.
Damn.
I mean, that's,
Damn.
just how it goes. That's what he's going to have to deal with right there.
One more. One more from Brennan. Here he is talking about his relationship with the play caller, the slinger, Steve Ensminger. Sorry, Myles.
No, I mean, he's been really important. I mean, since I've been here, he's kind of been like my foundation. He's been like my starting point. I mean, when I came in, he was coaching tight ends, and then that next year, he took over the quarterback room, and then from there on, he's been in there. And just to have a guy like him and a coach with all of his knowledge, and then he's the thing I like about him the most is, I mean, he's played the position and he's played it here. So he knows what he's talking about. He's not just a quarterback coach. I mean, he's actually played the position. But yeah, he's definitely been like, I mean, I like to say just like the rock in my foundation since I've been here.
Last one, Burrow made his name last year in the offseason by putting together the offseason workouts with no coaches around. Myles Brennan has carried on that tradition. Here he is talking about those Saturday workouts.
Really not much has changed because, I prepared every single week, as if I was going to be the starter. And just in case anything were to happen, I was going to have to go in that, the rest of the game, the rest of the season and play like I was the starter. So I really prepared, as the best I could every single week. Now it's really just, getting the timing down with the receivers and, just having that terminology to where we can communicate different things and getting, depths right and just actually being the guy that's doing the action and not just standing behind and listening, So I feel like that's just been the most important thing as we are working in the offseason.
That is great sound from Myles Brennan that we let you hear in the first segment. There's much more to that in that sit down with Cody Worsham with LSU's future starting quarterback Myles Brennan. If you want to hear that in its entirety, you can catch that at lsusports.net. That's Hey Fightin' Podcast with Brennan and Worsham. I agree. That was very refreshing to hear that state of mind from Brennan on where he is heading into his redshirt junior season. All right, Chef Michael Johnson is a Thursday